Hare Krishna, everyone. Good evening. Today we will be covering chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita. Before we start with the chapter, we will meditate on Gita Dhyan or Gita Dhyana. पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितं भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितं पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतमृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टदशाध्यायिनीम् अम्बा त्वम् अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवदेशिनी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दयातपात्रनेत्र वेनात्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वलितो ज्ञानमाया प्रदीपा प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रावेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतं दुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दना पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु. Hare Krishna, everyone. So let's start with chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita. So now we get into that zone of the Gita teaching in which all paths kind of converge with each other, and the soul is coming towards the closure of its journey of self realization. So we will be covering paths of karma, bhakti, gyan, and whatnot. So let's get on with it. So, chapter 13 talks about a very specific term called the Kshetragya Yagya, which means that uh, our entire life can be considered as a sacrifice between the field and the knower of the field. For example, uh, in this life as a human being, we have things around us. We have all the objects of senses, be it smell, sight, touch, feel. We have our body, we have our minds, we have our intellect, ego, consciousness. All these comprise of a field of objects. And then there's a different aspect which is called the Kshetragya or the knower of this field. Now, that Kshetragya is, in other words, considered as the soul or the Jivatma in Hindi. Let's move ahead. So, just explaining each and every aspect of the Kshetra. Kshetra consists of 24 objects primarily, whereas Kshetragya is just one, the soul. So, we'll cover the 24 aspects of the Kshetra, which is the field in which we exist. So, there are these five elements which Kshetra has. Five elements are earth, water, fire, air, and ether or space. After these five elements, we have certain other aspects which are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Four of these high level things are our consciousness, ego, intellect, and the mind. This comes to nine, five elements, then these four. Then we have the five sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue. Then there are these five organs of action: our hands, our feet, our genital organs, and yeah, these are the five. organs of excretion is also in this one, and our mouth in this one. Hand, feet, genitals, organs of excretion, which is the anus, and the mouth. Then we have the five fields which we experience in this world, which is sound that we hear, touch, whatever experience we have from the touch of objects. Then it's the form or sight, what we see in the world. Then it's the taste of things that we gather in the world. And the last one is the smell of things that we have. Then let's move ahead. So I'll cover certain shlokas in detail. So we'll start with this particular shloka, which is called Sarvata Pani Padam Tat Sarva To Shichi Ro Mukham Sarvata Shruti Mallake Sarva Mavritya Tishtati. Now, what this means is that it or the Kshetragya is being referred to in this shloka. Kshetragya has hands and feet on all sides, eyes, head, and mouth in all directions, ears all around, for it stands pervading all over the universe. So, the field which we discussed about, the knower of this field is basically all encompassing, which is it is a complete, it is a whole in itself. Then we move on to the next shloka. Sarvenindriya gunabhasam Sarvenindriya vivarjitam Asaktam sarva bhritcheva nirgunam gun bhoktacha. Now, this one means, though perceiving all sense objects, it is really speaking devoid of all senses. Now, the soul or the Kshetragya can feel everything around it, but it is not dependent or not compulsive to those senses. Though unattached, it is the sustainer of all nonetheless. And though attributeless, it is the enjoyer of gunas, the three modes of Prakriti. Though it has no quality of itself, but it can enjoy each and every quality or attribute in this world. Then we move on to the next shloka, which is shloka 27. So this one says, Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parmeshwaram vinashyatas vinashyantam ya pashyati sa pashyati, which means he alone truly sees, who sees the Supreme Lord as imperishable and abiding equally in all perishable beings, both animate and inanimate. So, someone who can see the supreme reality or God or say Krishna or any one entity in everything around its field and itself, which is the soul, then that is the person who is truly seeing the world in its real form. Then let's move on to the next shloka. Yatha prakashyत्यekam kritsanam lokamimam ravi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsanam prakashyati bharat. This means Arjuna, as the sun illumines this entire universe, so the one Atma or spirit illumines the whole Kshetra. So it is an analogy which Krishna is giving that when the sun comes up, it just lighten up the whole earth. Similarly, this body and the soul uh, has a connection similar to this one, which means that when the soul enters the body, it lightens up the entire field of this body, which we discussed the five elements, our organs, our intellect, mind, ego, consciousness, everything. And similarly, Krishna is saying that this body is the field and the soul is the knower of this field. Then we move on. Kshetra kshetragya yoreva mantaram jnana chakshucha bhut prakriti moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. So this means those who perceive with the eye of wisdom is this Agna Chakra. The difference between the Kshetra and Kshetragya and the phenomenon of liberation from Prakriti, which is the material nature, with her evolutes, reach the supreme eternal spirit. So Krishna is closing this chapter by saying that if you have your eye of wisdom open, Krishna has mentioned previously as well that focus on the point between the eyebrows is a specific spiritual practice for those seeking to liberate themselves on the path of yoga. So he's saying that those people who see from the eye of wisdom the difference between the soul and the body, which is the material nature and the spiritual nature, those people are able to reach the supreme eternal spirit, or they can cross this whole journey and exit from the body from the highest place, which is a topic for another time, another content. So this is all for today. And if you have any questions, you can probably reach out to us on our email ID, which is corporateyogabookings@gmail.com. And or you can just reach out to us on our Instagram handle, which is sunny153911. So that was it for today, and we'll be covering the other chapters later on. So we'll close the class with a closing invocation. Let's start the closing invocation now. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukmiva bandhanat mrityor mukshir mamrita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.